My fiancé secretly rewrote our prenup to take over my business, so I canceled everything and made one move that left her ruined. Her greed turned to regret. I'm 34 years old, and I've been carrying this with me for weeks. I need to get it off my chest, and I'm still trying to process what happened. My fiancé, Emma, is 29. We've been together 3 years and engaged for the last 8 months. Everything was perfect until about 2 months ago when things started to feel off. A little background. I, Michael, own a chain of organic grocery stores. I began with one tiny shop in a rough neighborhood 10 years ago. Everyone said I was crazy to go up against the big supermarkets, but I had a vision. Create places where people could buy quality organic food without spending their whole paycheck. Those first years were brutal. I slept on a mattress in my office some nights because I couldn't afford rent and keep the store running. Suppliers wouldn't take me seriously. Equipment broke down when I barely had money for repairs, and I had to convince customers to give this new little store a chance. But I worked my tail off. Over time, that one store became 2, then 5, and now we have 12 locations spread across 3 states. I'm not bragging. I just want you to understand why what happened next hit me so hard. When Emma and I first talked about marriage, I was completely honest about wanting a prenup. It wasn't about not trusting her, it was about protecting something I poured my life into. She seemed to understand. She'd say, "I know how hard you worked, and I respect that you want to protect your business." She even told her friends I was being fair. I made sure she would always have security no matter what. I set up a savings account in her name, gave her an emergency credit card for anything she needed, and built in a settlement that grew the longer we stayed married. I never wanted her to feel trapped or left with nothing. Then things changed. At first, it was subtle. She started making little comments about how married couples should share everything, or sent me articles about splitting assets, 50-50, even businesses. I thought maybe she was just nervous about the wedding. But then she began asking oddly detailed questions about my profit margins and expansion plans, things she'd never cared about before. She'd hang around while I took calls with my business partners, pretending to just keep me company, but clearly listening in. The weird part came when she said she wanted to help run the business. Mind you, Emma's background is in social media, marketing for small fashion brands. She'd never shown any interest in grocery operations. Suddenly, she wanted an office at headquarters and to oversee our social media strategy. I also noticed her spending habits change. She used to pay her share on dates, buy her own things, and manage her money. Lately, everything went on our shared card. $500 shopping sprees, pricey spa days, expensive workout classes. When I brought it up, she said, "We're getting married. What's yours is mine." I told myself I was overthinking it. Maybe she really was excited. Then last week I found the altered prenup in my home office. It wasn't the version we signed with our lawyers. This one had extra sections giving her half of my current stores, rights to all future expansions, and even a percentage of our planned online sales. I read it 20 times, hoping I'd misunderstood, but someone had rewritten it. I remembered her telling me she had a lawyer friend look over the paperwork. Turns out, she did more than look. In that moment, I realized the person I fell in love with would never do something like this. I spent 2 hours in my office reading every clause. It was worse than I thought. Decision-making power, profit sharing, future expansions, everything. I called Emma and asked her to come over. She showed up in a new $900 blazer I later saw on my statement. I laid both prenups and my bank statements on my desk. I stayed calm and asked her why the documents were different. At first, she pretended not to know. When I pointed out the new clauses, she said, "Those are just standard protections. Any smart person would have them." Standard protections? I've been in grocery for 10 years. I know other owners, and none of them give spouses rights to future expansions. That's not a thing. I asked her what she knew about running grocery stores. She got defensive, talking about how she deserves a say after investing years in our marriage. Yet she'd never asked about operations or inventory. She hadn't shown interest in the real work, just demanded ownership out of nowhere. Then she talked about my spending criticisms, listing her designer purchases and retreats totaling thousands of dollars in a month. I reminded her of the original, Prenup's generous settlement that grew over time. But she insisted it wasn't enough, saying marriages are partnerships and times have changed. Our conversation got heated. I realized then that I never really knew who I was marrying. I canceled our wedding plans, tore up the altered agreement, and took steps to secure my business legally. That one move left her with nothing but regret and turned her greed into ruin. Her answer? Well, I need to look professional if I'm going to be part of the business. That's when I got upset and said, Emma, you're not part of the business. You've never been part of the business. Changing legal papers behind my back doesn't make you part of the business. She started crying, saying I was being mean and unfair. She said she just wanted us to be real partners and asked why I was making a big deal about small changes to the prenup. Small changes? I said. Trying to secretly take half of someone's business is not a small change. That's like saying repainting your house while you're away is just a small change. She stormed out, saying she needed time to think and that I didn't value her enough. She's been staying at her parents' house since then. I talked to my lawyer. He said the changes she made aren't legal because I never agreed to them. But he's worried about what other papers Emma might try to change before the wedding. After that fight, Emma kept texting me long messages saying I was being unreasonable. One said, I can't believe you're acting like this. I thought you trusted me. We've been together for years. And now you're upset over a few small changes. I hovered my fingers over the keyboard. Trust goes both ways, Emma, I typed. You changed legal papers without telling me. How is that okay? She answered, They're just small changes. Then the typing dots showed up, disappeared. Then another message came. That's when she dropped a bomb. Alex said every smart woman does this before marriage. At least someone is looking out for my interests. I leaned back in my chair, pinching the bridge of my nose. Alex, her brother. He came back into town 3 months ago, after 3 failed marriages and lots of short jobs. His resume is like toilet paper stuck to his shoe. Before I could reply, my office door opened. Katie. My assistant came in right behind Emma looking flustered. I'm so sorry, sir. I told her you were busy. Emma stood in the doorway. Her blonde hair was messy, eyes full of fire. Across from my desk, my biggest supplier turned and raised an eyebrow. We need to talk about this now, Emma said loudly. You can't ignore me because you're mad about the prenup. I felt the color drain from my face. Emma, I'm in a meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, she said, not sounding sorry at all. Am I interrupting business? She said, business? Like it was a dirty word. The client gathered his papers. I'm so sorry about this. Can we meet tomorrow? I asked. After he left, I shut the door and turned to Emma. What were you thinking? You can't just walk into a business meeting. She threw her purse on a chair. Oh, so now I can't even come to my future business. Alex says I need to start standing up for myself more. My jaw clenched when she said his name. This isn't your business, Emma. And why are you taking advice from Alex? He's never been successful at anything. Don't talk about my brother like that, she said, stepping closer and pointing at my chest. He's been through divorces. He knows how men like you act. I stepped back, shocked. Men like me? What does that mean? You know what it means, she said, crossing her arms. Businessmen who think they can control everything with money. Alex told me all about guys like you. I stood there, unsure who I was talking to. Was this the same woman I fell in love with? Alex says I should be on all the bank accounts before the wedding, she said. He says it's the only way to make sure you don't hide money from me. I looked at her, trying to see the old Emma from 3 months ago, the woman who supported my dreams, laughed at my jokes, and didn't let others tell her what to do. Emma, I said gently, The original prenup already makes sure you'll be okay. Why isn't that enough? Her eyes narrowed. Taken care of? I'm not some charity case. I deserve half of everything. Alex says that's what courts usually give wives. But you didn't help build this business, I said, then regretted. You've never even worked here. I've been supporting you emotionally, she replied. She paced the office like a trapped animal. That counts for something. And after we're married, I'll be important to the business. How? I asked. You don't know how to run grocery stores. I can learn, she said, her voice cracking a little. Alex says I'm smart enough to run any business. He says you just want me to stay dependent on you. I sat down, feeling tired. She was speaking with her voice, but it sounded like Alex's words. I tried one more time. Can we talk about this without mentioning what Alex says? Why are you so threatened by my brother? She asked, leaning over my desk. Just because he's warning me about how things usually go? I'm not threatened by Alex, I said. I'm worried because you're taking life advice from someone who's failed at everything he's done. Silence. Her face turned red, then purple. How dare you? She yelled. She grabbed her purse with shaking hands. Alex has been nothing but supportive. He's the only one telling me the truth about how to protect myself. You're just mad because he's helping me stand up to you. She walked toward the door, then turned around. Alex says I should be writing all of this down. How controlling you are. How you're trying to separate me from my family. It'll all be useful later. She slammed the door behind her. I reached for my phone and called my lawyer. While I was explaining everything, he interrupted. Has Emma's brother Alex ever asked about your business finances? My blood ran cold. I remembered my accountant saying someone had been calling, pretending to be an investor, asking very specific questions about our company and profits. Looking back, that person sounded a lot like Alex. I looked at a photo on my wall, us at the beach last summer. She was laughing at one of my silly jokes. It felt like a long time ago now. The engagement ring I spent months picking out felt heavy in my stomach. I didn't know what to do. Should I cancel the wedding, or wait, and hope Alex's influence goes away? Every option felt wrong, like I was either giving up too fast or being foolish and hoping everything would somehow be okay again. And something told me this was only the beginning. After Emma's outburst at my office, her mom called me. This is the same woman who once told Emma how lucky she was to have a hard-working guy like me. Michael, we need to talk about how you're treating Emma, she said. Me? What do you mean? She's the one who tried to change our prenup behind my back, I answered. Alex explained everything to us, her mom said. You're trying to control Emma with money and forcing her to sign an unfair prenup. Mrs. Baker, that's not true, I replied. The original prenup was very fair. Emma's the one who... Alex says these prenups are just a way for rich men to keep women powerless. Did you know his first wife got nothing in their divorce? He's trying to protect Emma from making the same mistake. I couldn't believe it. Alex's first wife got nothing because he'd had nothing. He'd gambled away their savings and lost their house. How is that anything like my situation? Then it got worse. Emma's dad, who used to go fishing with me and treated me like a son, texted me. Very disappointed in you, Michael. We thought you were different. Alex showed us the prenup you're forcing on Emma, taking away all her rights. That's not what we raised our daughter for. I tried to explain that they had it backwards, that Emma was the one who secretly changed the papers. They wouldn't listen. To them, me refusing to share everything proved Alex right. The next day I got a group text from Emma's cousins, people I'd spent holidays with, helped move apartments, even hired one at my store. The message read, "We always knew something was off about you. Alex was right. You're just another greedy businessman. Emma deserves better." I replied, "Remember when Alex borrowed $5,000 from your aunt for his foolproof business idea last year? Did he ever pay her back?" They all left the chat. I dug deeper and learned that Alex had been holding family meetings without me. He told everyone stories of gold-digging ex-wives who left him with nothing, even though he'd lost. Everything himself. He convinced Emma's whole family that all successful business owners are manipulators who abandon their spouses. He used his failed marriages as proof that Emma needed to protect herself by taking as much as she could now. The worst part? Emma believed every word she posted on Facebook. Sometimes people show their true colors when money is involved. So grateful for my brother's wisdom. Some men will never understand that marriage means sharing everything. I commented, "Does that include sharing the truth about secretly changing legal documents?" She blocked me. That was the last straw. I decided to confront Alex in person. I found out he was staying at an extended stay motel and texted him to meet at a nearby coffee shop. When I walked in, he was already at a corner table smirking like he'd won some game. "Thanks for meeting me," I said, sliding into the seat across from him. "Hey, future brother-in-law," he drawled. "Cut the act, Alex," I snapped. "I know what you've been doing." "Doing?" He spread his hands. "I'm just looking out for my baby sister." By telling her to change our prenup behind my back. By calling my office pretending to be an investor, I asked. He didn't. Deny it. Can't blame a guy for doing his research. Someone's got to watch out for the Emma's interests. I took a deep breath. She had her own life before you. Now she just repeats your divorce stories. "I'm teaching her how the real world works," he said coldly. "You think you can lock up all your assets and leave her with nothing? The original prenup was more than fair. You know that." His smug look slipped. "Fair? Please." He leaned in. "I've seen your company's numbers. Emma deserves at least 75% for putting up with you. Those grocery stores, they're a gold mine." My hand froze on my coffee cup. "How did you see my company's numbers?" He blinked. "Oh, Emma might have left some papers lying around." "So, what's your real game, Alex?" I asked. "Using Emma to get what you couldn't from your own marriages?" His face went red. I realized then exactly what he'd been planning, and I realized this was only the start. "You don't know anything about my marriages," Alex snapped. "Those women took everything." "Took what?" I asked. "Your gambling debts? Your maxed-out credit cards? Your failed business ideas?" His fist hit the table so hard our cups rattled. "You think you're better than me just because you got lucky with some stores? I could run circles around your business if I had the chance." Then he said the words that made everything click. "Emma already promised me a role in the company once she gets her share." I stared at him, understanding at last. "So, this is about you getting a paycheck." "She's family," he spat. "Family looks out for each other. Unlike you, who's trying to keep everything for yourself." "The only person trying to take everything is you," I shot back. "Does Emma I'd know about your plan?" His face changed for a moment. "Emma knows I'll be a valuable asset to the company. I have experience." "Experience in what?" "Losing other people's money," I said. His face went dark. "You think you're so smart? Wait until Emma tells everyone how you yelled at her today, how you threatened her brother, how you're isolating her from her family." I reached for my phone and set it on the table. "You mean this conversation I've been recording?" Color drained from his face, then rushed back in anger. He started shouting about recording laws, but I saw panic in his eyes. He stood up so fast his chair scraped across the floor. "You've made a huge mistake," he said. "Emma will never believe you over me." He leaned in close. "And once she gets her share of the business, you'll be begging me for a job." He stormed out, and I immediately sent the recording to my lawyer. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "How dare you threaten my brother? Alex was right about you all along. You're just jealous because he understands business better than you." I didn't reply. I forwarded her messages to my lawyer and waited for what happened next, the day after. Emma came to my house without telling me. She still had her key and let herself in while I was working. The moment I saw her, I knew this wouldn't be a calm talk. She was furious that I recorded her brother. But what hit me most was how different she seemed from the woman I fell in love with. I tried to show her the recording of Alex, admitting his plan for a cushy job in my company, but she refused to listen. It felt like someone denying a basic truth. The more proof I gave, the harder she fought it. When I showed her security footage of Alex digging through my office and the business documents she'd been sending him, she suddenly made me the bad guy for having cameras in my own office. In her mind, engagement meant everything I owned was already half hers. The worst part was talking about how she'd changed since Alex had came back. Before him, she'd never cared about grocery stores or business operations. Now she claimed she deserved 75% of everything just for her emotional contribution. It wasn't her talking anymore. Every sentence began with Alex and says. She'd lost her own voice. She even showed me texts from divorce lawyers, planned while we were still planning our wedding. The woman I trusted enough to propose to was plotting how to tear my business apart. She didn't think it was wrong. In her mind, it was being smart about her future. I need to be secure, she said, as if I hadn't already given her security from the start. When she finally left, she wasn't the same person who'd walked in. The Emma I knew was gone, replaced by someone who saw our relationship only as a business opportunity. She'd chosen her brother's twisted view of marriage over everything we'd built together. That night, her family bombarded me with messages calling me controlling and accusing me of hidden cameras. I realized how much she'd changed, from someone who valued trust and independence to someone who thought it was okay to share confidential business information with my competitors just because we were engaged. The next morning, I learned she'd met with one of my competitors. That confirmed it was truly over. It wasn't just an engagement anymore. It was accepting that the person I loved had been completely changed by her brother's toxic influence. The trust was gone. Without trust, there was nothing left to save. That night, I made my decision. As painful as it was, I knew I couldn't stay in this relationship. I needed someone who trusts me and can't be easily manipulated. If she's now listening to her brother against me, who else would she listen to after we married? So I sent her a formal email, copied my lawyer, and explained that the wedding was canceled because she tried to modify the prenup without my consent and shared confidential business information with competitors. I attached the recording of Alex admitting their plan. 20 minutes later, my phone exploded with notifications. Emma called, crying, begging me to reconsider, then threatening to expose me as a controlling abuser. Alex says you can't cancel a wedding without settling first, and you owe me for emotional damage. I stayed silent and recorded everything. My lawyer said that was the right move when someone shows their true colors. Hours later, Emma texted again with a new tactic. Fine, but I'm keeping the ring and staying in the apartment until I'm ready to leave. You owe me that, just like I owed you after what you did. Then my mom called, near tears. How could you do this to Emma? She loves you. She just wanted to feel secure. I tried to explain about the prenup changes and business documents, but Emma had already spun the story. According to her, I was the controlling one who wouldn't share with my future wife. I went to my parents' house with my laptop and showed them everything, the recordings, the altered prenup, all of it. My mom went quiet, but Emma wasn't finished. Remember the emergency credit card I gave her last year? The one meant only for true emergencies? In 3 days, she racked up almost $122,000 in charges. When I saw the charges come through, I called her. You know what she said? I asked my lawyer later. I deserve nice things after everything I've done for you. I've invested too much time in this relationship to walk away with nothing. When I reminded her the card was for emergencies, she actually laughed and said I should have been more specific about what counted. That was it for me. While she was still on the call, I opened my banking app and canceled the card. No warning, no discussion. She went silent, then exploded, demanding to know how I could do that after everything. By then, I wasn't about to fund her idea of an, emergency. My lawyer says we'll get the ring back. It's legally a conditional gift in our state. Getting her out of the apartment may take longer, since tenant rights are complicated and she's not on the lease. My head was spinning. All I wanted was for this nightmare to end. But things got worse a few weeks later when Olivia, Emma's sister, found Alex's laptop while helping him with job applications. What she discovered was a detailed plan, spreadsheets, with timelines, planned divorce dates, even calculations of how much money he expected to get from my business. That was the final proof of his scheme. And it made me more certain than ever that I did the right thing. Olivia showed everything to her parents first. The documents proved. Alex had planned this for months before he even moved back to town. He'd researched my business, figured out which stores made the most money, and noted which family members to convince first. Emma, I was just his puppet, and he'd spent months pulling her strings. Olivia also found Alex's texts with a man posing as a lawyer. They talked about how to trick Emma Beeks with lines like, "She's too trusting, this will be easy, and once she's married, we'll push for majority control." Alex had even promised that fake lawyer a cut of whatever they got from my business. When Emma finally saw all this proof, she broke down. Olivia told me. Emma locked herself in her room for 3 days, reading every document. All those stories. Alex told about his ex-wives taking his money. Total lies. His failed marriages weren't because his wives took everything. They left because he kept trying to scam their families. Last week, Emma showed up at my office. Security called me because she was crying in the parking lot. When I went out, she looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. She kept saying she didn't know, and she was so sorry. And could we please talk about fixing this? For a moment, I felt bad for her. Then she said, "I've learned my lesson. We can use the original prenup. I won't ask for any business stuff." That's when I realized she still didn't understand. This wasn't about the prenup anymore. It was about trust and who she really was. I told her, "Emma, you didn't just try to take my business. You betrayed my trust, shared private information with my competitors, maxed out my credit card, and turned my whole family against me. Alex may have manipulated you, but you chose to follow him." She cried harder, saying she'd been scared of ending up like Alex's ex-wives, that he'd convinced her that all successful men hide their assets and she had to strike first. She truly thought she was protecting herself by trying to scam me. The conversation ended with her saying, "But I gave up so much for you. I deserve another chance." I looked at her and asked, "What exactly did you give up? Emma, your part-time job you hated, the apartment you could barely afford, or just the chance to scam someone else?" She left after that, but kept texting me for days. "We can start fresh. I still love you. I'll prove you can trust me again." Olivia told me. Emma was telling everyone she'd grown and learned from her mistakes. It's been 2 weeks. The more she tried to draw me back in, the more disgusted I felt at the thought. It would almost be sad. Except Emma was still looking for angles. Yesterday, her new lawyer contacted mine demanding emotional damages from the broken engagement. That lawyer dropped her case as soon as my lawyer showed him Alex Saul's notebook and all the proof of their scam. Alex now faces charges for corporate espionage. He tried to sell my business data to competitors. Emma isn't speaking to Alex anymore, but that doesn't change what she did. Maybe. Alex pushed her, but she was a willing participant until she got caught. I've officially moved on. I changed all my security protocols, upgraded every system, and I'm a lot more careful about who I let in now. This whole ordeal taught me something. People don't always change into someone new. They reveal who they really were all along.